Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Racha Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Buying and Selling in the N.W.O. I was trying to think of another title, but everything coming to mind was kind of complicated, so we try to keep these lessons as basic and as simple as possible, for brothers and the few sisters out there, so that they could understand what the scriptures mean. Now, this pretty much is centered around, Revelation 13, of course, but the MOTB being the C-hip. But what I wanted to focus on this lesson is I've been kind of doing some research on the history of, money, just dealing with, what we know of today, with the FRN or the Federal Reserve note, the dollar, and the world reserve currencies. So I want to just start off from there, see where the spirit leads. Got a couple of precepts that came to mind as I was putting the lesson together. And it's important because someone might say, why is it important to know the history of money? Because if you know the history of money, you know what money is first and foremost. You know about the value of money. And if you know what real money is, you understand that the current system of world reserve currency that's pushed upon the world is not really money. And that's the whole point. This is why they can print as many dollars as they want without them having any problems from it, because there's nothing backing that up as far as precious metals, so they can print as much as they want. And this is what causes the devaluation of the money, the ups and downs, the inflations, the hyperinflations around the world, because there's no control. So what I did was that there's a site on Wikipedia called Reserve Currency. I put this in the description box along with some other articles. It says a reserve currency or anchor currency is a foreign currency that is held in significant quantities by central banks or other monetary authorities as part of their foreign exchange reserves. All right, the reserve currency can be used in international transactions, international investments, and all aspects of global economy. And that's what a reserve currency is for. Right now, the current world reserve currency is the US dollar, the USD. That was started back in 1944 under the Bretton Woods agreement, that conference that they had. And pretty much that's when the US dollar took the status or the top position of being a world reserve currency. Prior to them, you had the British pound. That was the world reserve currency. Prior to them, you had the Netherlands guilder, which was a de facto currency, which means that it really wasn't. It was in the acting position, because the world reserve currency, the first world reserve currency, was the Spanish, the Spanish dollar, which was printed as far as silver is concerned. And we're going to get into a little bit of that, Lord's will. And all of these different currencies that were out there as far as holding that position were all made out of precious metals, either silver or gold. And this is important to know because silver and gold is real money. Matter of fact, let's go real quick here to Genesis 13:1. It says, "And Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife and all that he had, and Lot with him into the south. And Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold." Yeah, because riches are commodities such as land and cattle, slaves, precious metals, crops, different things of that nature, So when we look at, let's see, it says very rich. The word there for rich is the word kabod, which means to be heavy, be weighty, be grievous, be hard, be rich, right? So it could apply to being rich, or it could apply to being heavy, all right? In this case, we're dealing with the word rich because this is what he was rich in. He was rich in cattle, silver, and gold. And when we look up the word for silver, you have the word kasap. The word kasap is silver. And when you type in the word money in, in a whatever search engine concordance of the Bible, every time you see the word money is also the word silver, kasap. See? So every time you see the word money, it's going to say kasap. And kasap is silver, because silver is the real definition of true money. All right. So going back here, right, it says it is often considered a hard currency or safe haven currency, right, which is the world reserve currency. The United Kingdom's pound sterling, see sterling, which is what? Sterling silver, right, was the primary reserve currency of much of the world in the 19th century and first half of the 20th century. However, by the middle of the 20th century, the United States dollar had become the world's dominant reserve currency. The world's need for dollars have allowed the United States government to borrow at lower cost, giving the United States an advantage in excess of 100 billion US dollars per year. All right. Now, it says history. Reserve currencies have come and gone with the evolution of the world's geopolitical order. And right now we're experiencing a geopolitical order happening throughout the planet Earth. And that geopolitical order consists of the introduction of these digital currencies. And the digital currencies is what they need, which they already have in place, in order to push what the scriptures call the MOTB, the MARK of the beast, which is the C-hip, or the micro C-hip. They're getting everybody prepared for this thing. You have, people that have been using credit cards and debit cards and so on and so forth for a long time. All you did was swipe it. Now they got to the point where they put a C-hip in it to get the people used to hearing that word C-hip and using that word C-hip, where you insert the card. Now they got, you can wave the card over, a reader, and it, deducts your money from it. You can go to stores and buy and not even have to go through the checkout counter. Now they have this other technology where you insert your credit card or your debit card, and then there's in that reader, the reader, as you put that in and you put your phone number in, it reads, you put your palm over it and it takes pictures, or it reads your palm or scans your palm. So every time you go to pay now, you could just wave your hand and get whatever you got to get, which is the first step, I guess, for lack of better words, into getting people used to using their hands to buy or to sell. Because that's exactly what the wave of the future is, this geopolitical order of the new ages, which is on the back of the dollar bill. International currencies in the past have, excluding those discussed below, included the Greek drachma, which the Greek drachma was made out of silver. It was an actual coin. All right. Coined in the 5th century BCE. Then it said the Roman denarii, which is also a silver coin. Byzantine solidus, which was a gold coin. The Arab dinar, which is also a gold coin. Of the Middle Ages, and the French franc, which the French franc was also made of silver. If I'm not mistaken, let me go there real quick. Shoot. Well, here it says silver or gold. So guess it could be either silver or gold. All right. Then it says the Venetian ducat, which was a gold coin, and the Florentine florin, which the Florentine florin was also a gold coin. And this Florentine florin, this is where the Dutch guilder, kind of bounced off of this, so to speak. It says became the gold-based currency of choice between Europe and the Arab world from the 13th to the 16th century. Since gold was easier than silver to mint, and the standard sizes and transport over long distance, it was the Spanish silver dollar, however, which created the first true global reserve currency recognized in Europe, Asia, and the Americas from the 16th to the 19th century due to the abundant silver supplies from Spanish America. And the reason why the Spanish had such an abundance in silver is because you had what was known as silver mines in the province of Spain, which the Romans had control of that. First Maccabees 8:1. Now Judas had heard of the Romans, that they were mighty and valiant men, and such as would lovingly accept all that joined themselves unto them, and make a league of amity with all that came unto them. It says, and that they were men of great valor. It was told him also of their wars and noble acts which they had done among the Galatians, and how they had conquered them and brought them under tribute, and what they had done in the country of Spain from the winning of the mines of silver and gold which is there. So they had a big, vast, abundance of this, and this is why eventually it became known as the first true world reserve currency, which was the Spanish silver dollar. They call it, I believe it's called the eighth. Actually, piece of eight. That's what they call it, the piece of eight. All right. So it says, while the Dutch guilder was a reserve currency, which it was prior to the English pound, of somewhat lesser scope, used between Europe and the territories of the Dutch colonial empire from the 17th to the 18th century. And why the 18th century? Because this is when the British pound entered in and took over the world reserve currency. It was also a silver standard. See, so all of these coins, from the Greek drachma all the way now to we're here with the Dutch guilder, these are all coins based off of either gold or silver. Currency fed with the output of Spanish American mines. See, Spanish American mines flowing through the Spanish Netherlands, the Dutch through the Amsterdam Wijzen Bank, the Bank of Amsterdam, were also the first to establish reserve currency whose monetary unit was stabilized using practices familiar to the modern central banking, as opposed to the Spanish dollar stabilizing through American mine output and Spanish fiat, and which can be considered as a precursor to modern day monetary policy. It says, it was therefore the Dutch which served as a model for bank money and reserve currency stabilized by central banks. With the establishment of the Bank of England in 1694 and the Bank of France in the 19th century, the British pound sterling in particular was poised to dislodge the Spanish dollar's hegemony as the rest of the world's transition to the gold standard in the last quarter of the 19th century. At that point, the UK was a primary exporter of manufactured goods and services. So this is when England was doing really, really good. And when their currency became the world reserve currency, their economy did well, their country did well, and over 60% of the world's trade was invoiced in pounds sterling. British banks were also expanding overseas. London was the world center for insurance and commodity markets, and British capital was a leading source of foreign investments around the world. And this is why, She is known as the mother of America. Let's go real quick to, I believe that's Jeremiah 51. Because America got their motto from there. But the Lord used America to excel. Jeremiah 51. And that might be 50. Let's try 50. Right. Jeremiah 50. I'll study 11. Because you were glad, because you rejoiced, O ye destroyers of mine heritage. That's dealing with America, Babylon the Great. Because you are grown as fat as a heifer at grass and bellow as bulls. Right. This is why you were able to live carelessly. You had your dainties, you had your, your luxuries. It says, your mother shall be sore confounded. Who is the mother of America? England. She that bare you shall be ashamed. Right. And they're ashamed of this place. Behold, the hindermost of the nations, which is America, Babylon the Great, shall be a wilderness, because the Lord is going to destroy them, and a dry land and a desert. Okay? Because of the wrath of the Lord, it shall not be inhabited, but it shall be wholly desolate, meaning the whole land, from north to south, from east to west. Everyone that goeth by Babylon shall be astonished and hiss at all her plagues. That's right. All right, so let's go back. Sterling soon became the standard currency used for international commerce transactions. After World War II, the international financial system was governed by a formal agreement, the Bretton Woods system. Under this system, the United States dollar USD was placed deliberately as the anchor of the system, with the U.S. government guaranteeing other central banks that they could sell their U.S. dollar reserve at a fixed rate for gold. All right, so this is when the U.S. dollar took over the world reserve currency status. Now we're at the point where, geopolitically, we're in a transitioning period to digital currency, which is the MOTB that the scriptures speak about in Revelation 13, which is the CHIP, which will be the new form of exchange for goods. So what they're going through right now is a transitioning period of speaking about this currency is going to be, and then they're going to do that, and then the CBDC and everything going digital, but they're still going to keep cash, and then, so they got to make it seem like this is not their, whole intention. That's why the scriptures say, never trust thine enemy. Now, I typed in, will CBDC replace the USD? Ultimately, cash may in fact disappear, but it's mostly a question of where and when. While it may disappear in some countries, it might remain in others. And if it ultimately happens in 50 or 100 years, they're looking at they think that they're going to be here forever. The inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever. It won't matter much to anyone who's alive today. Yes, it will, because today we see all of the prophecy speaking and moving towards this MOTB system. Is CBDC the future of money? Central bank digital currency, a new digital form of money issued by central banks, may just be the new infrastructure we need for ushering in more trust, resilience, and efficiency. All right. Everything is done under a matter of convenience, under a matter of protection, safety. Will CBDC be the new world reserve currency? Will CBDC be a game changer? A host of experts have claimed that RBI's retail central bank digital currency is a digital game changer, which could positively affect the future of financial access, acceptance, and resilience. What will CBDC What will CBDC be backed by? The Federal Reserve, which is in America. So pretty much it says the U.S. CBDC will be backed and controlled by the Federal Reserve. The central bank will issue the digital currency. What is there to issue in a digital currency? It's just numbers that are typed in online. It's an illusion, Mr. Wordsworth. Inside joke. It's a sleight of hand. It's a play on words. How are you going to issue something that you just type into a computer? And it will be accessible through digital wallets for intermediaries such as banks. You see? So pretty much everything is going digital. Now, when we go to the so-called Constitution of the United States, it gives us the understanding of what money really is. This is Article 1, Section 8, Powers of Congress. The Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes, duties, and imposts and excises, to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare, blah, blah, blah. The United States will have the power to coin money, regulate the value thereof, and a foreign coin, and fix the standard of weights and measures of what? Coin. This is why you have a U.S. Treasury. This is why you had a printing press. So why are they printing dollars, so-called dollars, when they have the ability to, to mint coins? See? It's all a system of debt. Debt leads into slavery. All right? And it speaks about fix the standard of weights and measures. And they know that weights and measures is something that is biblical. Let's go to Leviticus 19 and 35. You shall do no unrighteousness in judgment, in meat yard, in weight, or in measure. Yeah, because when you did these things, you were supposed to deal fairly. You weren't supposed to get over on the people. So when we look up the word meat yard, the word there is madah. Madah. Measure, measurement, stature, size, garment. And what they've done is they've given something that's worth nothing and made the people believe it's worth something in exchange for their labor. So they made the monetary unit not value. There's no value in it. The only value that it has is the belief that the people have in it. So it's really a credit. The word credit, from the word credo, or in Spanish creo, means to believe. So the reason why it has such power is because people believe that it's money. That's why they work for it. They use it to pay for things. But it's really an illusion. It's a sleight of hand. A smoke and mirrors. All right, so now we go to the word weight, which is the word ma shekel, which is of shekel. Now the word shekel is not really money. The word shekel is weight. All right, it's a weight. Let's go real quick to Genesis 23 and 12. This is dealing with Abraham when he bought a plot of land from this, I believe he was a Canaanite, and pretty much, the Canaanite wanted to give him the land because he wanted to bury his wife, and he wanted to give him the land without money because he was cool with Abram. At the time his name was Abraham at this point. And Abraham was like, nah, let me know what I owe you so I can pay for this, because I don't want people to say that that I got rich from you, or, you gave me this land and I pay for it, So it says, and Abraham bowed down himself before the people of the land, and he spake unto Ephron in the audience of the people of the land, saying, but if thou wilt give it, I pray thee, hear me. I will give thee money. What's the word money there? You look up the word money. Kasap, which is silver. I will give thee money. I will give thee money for the field. Take it of me, and I will bury my dead there. And Ephron said, Abraham, and Ephron answered Abraham, saying unto him, my Lord, hearken unto me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that betwixt me and thee? Bury therefore thy dead. And Abraham hearkened unto Ephron, and Abraham what? Weighed to Ephron the silver, which he had named in the audience of the sons of Heth, 400 shekels of silver, current money with the merchants. Because right now, the current money with the merchants is what? the dollar bill. Eventually, they're pushing for what? The bringing in of this new geopolitical system, which is going to be a new world order, because every time a world reserve currency takes over, that's like a new start, or a reset, or a new world order, pretty much. And this is what they're pushing for right now, is the final establishment of their final goal, or final nail in the coffin of the new world order, being the MOTB, which is the CHIP. So when we look up the word Wade, right, what do we have there? The word shekel, which is a weight, to weigh out, pay out. A shekel doesn't mean a piece of coin. A shekel is a weight. These were weights and measures, and that's why I said that you were supposed to, when you did that, you were supposed to weigh things, according to, according to the weights and measures that was set up at the time. So now when we look up the word current, is the word Ibar, which Ibar means from the past. But in this case, yeah, Passover, let's see, emigrate, Passover, perish, Easter is to vanish, emigrate, pass on. Let's see, current, right there. That's the word currency. What's being used currently for this exchange, belonging to the present time, happening or being used or done now. So that was the present, time, and it's never really changed, because money, the only reason why money is changed is because the individuals that control it, and then you have the word merchant, and then we saw through the history of the reserve currency that all of these coins were either silver or gold coins. Then eventually the dollars were introduced. I believe the dollars were first used by Moab, if I'm not mistaken. There's a whole history of paper dollars. So the word sakhar, to go around, go about, travel about, and go about and trade. And that's what you do. Those are traders. They would trade, but they were also, merchants, because they would travel to different places, namely through the seas. And that was, any city or country that had seaports, they were very rich, because that's how trade was done in the ancient world, and it's still done to this day. All right. So going back here, mashakwal is what? Is the word for weight. See? Mashakwal, which ma is over from, shakwal is shekel. Heaviness or weight. Okay? So going back, or in measure. We look up the word measure. The word measure is mashawarah. Mashawarah, measure. When you measure things out, see, measure for liquids. You also have measurement as far as tangible things are, metals. You could type it in, weights for money, or weights for flour, or weights for dry goods, weights for liquid, and then you would put it on the scale, and then you would pour whatever it was, whether it was silver, gold, or wheat, or whatever, on the scale until you see the scale start moving. Then you back off, and then once it levels out with the weight, then that was the weight. So if you had a pound or whatever, boom. Once it leveled out on both sides, that was the exact weight. But what would happen is they would make the weight heavier or lighter, depending on if they were trading or selling, and eventually the people would get less. They would get less than what they were supposed to get. This is why in Ecclesiastes 26 and 29 it says, a merchant shall hardly keep himself from doing wrong, and an huckster shall not be freed from sin. Right, shall not be freed from sin. And here it says, Ecclesiastes 27:2, as a nail sticketh between the joining of the stones, so does sin stick close between buying and selling. Because there's a thin line when you're dealing with that. All right, so they're only supposed to coin money and fix the standard of weights and measure. But the coins, they're not minting coins. They're printing paper. And then Article 1, Section 10, it says, powers denied to the states. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque and reprisal, coin money, or emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver, coin, a tender in payments of debts. And this is why when the dollar was backed by silver or gold, they used the excuse of it was easier to carry the dollars and it was lighter to carry the dollars and to carry all that gold with you. And then you would have a silver dollar, a silver certificate, or a gold certificate, and you would be able to bring it to the bank and claim your gold or your silver from that particular bank. All right. So there's another part, I believe it's in the Constitution. I try to find it. It's been so long I can't really remember exactly where it is. But there's a clause somewhere where it says that money, let me see, money is expressed in dollars or something like that. I'm not sure if that was a definition from a law book that we had before, or if it's actually a part of the Constitution. I tried to find this video I did years ago, but I couldn't find it. I think I might have deleted it. If brothers know what I'm talking about, you could post it on, because I see the brother put China during the Han Dynasty promissory notes appeared in 118 BC and were made of leather. Okay, see? So it's a lot of history. All right, so let's move on. It says dollar. The basic monetary unit, because money or dollar is a unit. Dollar is not money. Dollar is, to understand, dollar and shekel are synonymous. They're both weights of money. Unit, an individual thing or person regarded as single and complete, but what can also form individual components. A device that has specified function, especially one forming part of a complex mechanism. All right. Unit of what? Measurement. A unit of measurement is a definite magnitude of a quantity, defined and adopted by convention or by law, that is used as a standard for measurement of the same kind of quantity. Any other quantity of that kind can be expressed as a multiple of the unit of the measurement. So pretty much a unit of measurement is pretty much used to weigh, whatever, the thing that you're dealing with, whether it's money or whether it's goods, commodities, or whatever the case may be. All right. So let me see, was there any more on here? Nope, that was it. Okay. Why is it called a dollar? The word dollar is the English form of thaler, a German word which means person or thing from the valley. No, that was just some extra gravy. Dollar is a form of measurement, not money. Is dollar a unit of measurement? Answer and explanation. Dollars are used as a unit of measure. So when you're looking at that dollar bill, that's not money. It's a unit of measurement. No different than a gallon, a pound. You don't go to the store and say, can I get a pound? They're going to be like, what? A pound of what? The unit of measure is considered as something of value. Similarly, dollars have values and can be used to determine the value of any goods or services. And when we go back to the word, what was this here? Okay, this was dealing with Abram. Yeah, he weighed the money. No, this is dealing with money in general. So when we go back here, you shall do Leviticus 19:35. You shall do no unrighteousness in judgment, in meat yard, in weight, or in measure. Just balances, just weights, a just ephah, and a just hin shall you have. All just. And these are what? Weights. Weights. Ephah is another weight. Hin is another weight. You had different weights. You had some weights for dry. I'm not an expert in the weights and measures. So you would have to look it up for yourself. You had some. You could have used the same. Probably you have different type of weights depending on if it was dry goods or liquids or whatever the case may be. I am the Lord your power, which brought you out of the land of Egypt. So going back here, that was it on that. Moving on. It says, what is a dollar defined as? Dollar, a coin, as a Spanish peso, similar to an early German silver coin. A basic unit of money as of the US and Canada. A coin or bill representing $1. The bill is not the money. The bill is a representation of the money. The coin is the money. The metal is the money. The commodity is the money. The bill, the dollar bill, is nothing more than a representation that you have it. And this is why they took out, silver certificate and gold certificate off of the dollars, because no longer can you convert them back to silver or gold. What is a money weight? A weight, weight sense used in judging coins. See? A weight used in judging coins because you will weigh it. All right, let's see what else we got. Where did the Federal Reserve note come from? The United States Bureau of Engraving and Printing produces the notes under the authority of the Federal Reserve Act of 1933 and issues them to the Federal Reserve banks at the discretion of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System. And then you have the word fiat. Fiat money, currency. Fiat money is a type of currency that is not backed by a commodity, such as gold or silver or anything else. Such as gold or silver, it is typically designated by the issuing government to be a legal tender, but it's not legal tender. It's nothing more than a promissory note. A promissory note is something that you promise to give something. You hold this, I owe you, and when you bring it to me, I'll give you what I owe you. Throughout history, fiat money was sometimes issued by local banks and other institutions. All right? Now, let's go to the book of Micah, chapter 6, verse 9. It says, 10. Are there yet the treasures of wickedness in the house of the wicked? And the answer to that is yes, because the servant is borrower, or the borrower is servant to the lender. Let's get that real quick. Proverbs 22:7. The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. It says, and the what? Scant measure that is abominable. What is a scant measure? A small measure. Because you're taking that measure and you're giving less. So you're not giving a just weight or a just ephah or a just hin. You're giving less. This is why the scriptures say, that go to now, ye rich men, howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. And this is beautiful right here. The brother put this up. Matter of fact, I started at 9. 1 Timothy 6:9. But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare and into many foolish and hurtful lusts. Why? Because Ecclesiastes 27:2. As a nail sticketh fast between the joining of the stones, so doth sin stick close between buying and selling, because it's not done honestly. It says, For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some men coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows, as dealing with Jake. It says, But thou, O man of the Most High, flee these things and follow after righteousness, godliness, faith, love, patience, and meekness. Patience, meekness. Why? Because the Lord will provide the rest. Yahweh Shai said it best. The Most High will provide the rest. So the word there for scant is the word ratazawan. Razawan, not ratazawan, razawan. Leanness, scantness, wasting, leanness, wasting of disease, scantness of measure. Scant is like, you just make it to where you give them what you got to give them, but you're ripping them off. Scant, barely sufficient or adequate. And this is why, the rich rule over the poor, because they have them on a string and just give them just enough for them to keep coming back to them. I forgot I think that was Goldie. What was the name of that? The Mac, I believe it was. The dude, Pre-Tony, I believe he was. He said that he just give him just enough or something like that to keep him coming back to him or something along those lines. And that's pretty much what the international bankers are doing. They're controlling everything and giving just enough so that the people, have to keep coming back to them. And this is why eventually they got the world in a situation where they want people to take the CHIP, because that's total control. All right, let's see what else we got. So it says, and the scant measure that what? That is abominable. Abominable to who? To the Most High. All right. So it says, shall I count them pure with the wicked balances and with the bag of deceitful weights? Yeah, because they have these deceitful weights. And this dollar is a deceitful weight. It says, for the rich men thereof are full of violence, and the inhabitants thereof have spoken lies, and their tongue is deceitful in their mouth. Therefore will I also make thee sick and smiting thee. That's why it says, woe to you, rich men, and making thee desolate because of thy sins. And eventually you will be destroyed. Thou shalt eat but not be satisfied. Yeah, because the roles are going to be reversed, and thy crashing down shall be in the midst of thee, right? And thou shalt take hold, but shall not deliver, and that which thou deliverest will I give up to the sword. Thou shalt sow, but thou shalt not reap, right? Because the curses are going to transfer off of us onto Esau and the other nations. Thou shalt tread the olives, but thou shalt not anoint thee with oil, and sweet wine, but shalt not drink wine. That's right. So pretty much, that's been buying and selling in the N.W.O. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. To the next time I say, Shalom.